Last week during our visit to western Nebraska, we visited with UNL Extension beef specialist Rick Funston, who showed us a new system used to measure feed intake in cattle. Market Journal's Kurtis has more.
The University of Nebraska-Lincoln's West Central Research and Extension Center near North Platte has a new way to measure feed efficiency. In the past, it was difficult to examine individual feed intake of cattle to measure differences between animals. These individual measurements are now easy to obtain with the new Grow-Safe system, according to UNL Extension beef cattle reproductive physiology specialist Rick Funston.
And these animals all have electronic IDs, and when they put their head in the bunk, it reads the ID, records the weight of the feed or of the bunk, and then when it leaves, it records that weight as well. So it's continually measuring feed disappearance. And what we're interested in is looking at the impact of management in a cow-calf system and how it impacts animals' performance in the feedlot.
After each animal consumes feeds and the bunks are weighed, measurements are sent to a central computer system. Individual intake measurements are taken daily to examine cattle performance.
Over time of the study, we'll actually calculate feed intake, and we can express that feed efficiency on pounds of feed required per pound of gain, or another term is residual feed intake to actually calculate the animal's performance based on what it should be according to the pen.
With this system, it is easy to detect sick animals by looking at recent and historic consumption rates. Each feed bunk is checked often to ensure all sensors are working.
We have a wand that's programmed to actually vocalize in the unit here, and then we can go through the bunks and see if they're all reading the electronic ID.
Funston says he's tracking as much data as possible, including which bunks individual cows eat at, frequency, and amount of consumption. Funston's research has already shown the impacts of maternal nutrition during gestation on progeny, which includes steer carcass weights and quality grades and heifer fertility. He says understanding feed efficiency is essential in any profitable beef operation.
In any segment of the beef industry, feed is the major cost. So if by how we manage the cow, we can impact the performance of the steer or heifer in the feedlot, that's going to be very important economically to the whole production system and a piece of the whole picture that we haven't been able to collect.
Currently, Funston is researching two separate sets of cattle. He hopes to get a better understanding of overall feed intake and feed conversion from each of the groups.
The black cattle on the west side here are on a study where we have first calf heifers that are either fed hay and then one of two supplements, and we're looking at the effect of those gestational treatments on the progeny performance in the feedlot. The red cattle on the east side are from the Goodmanson Ranch, and they're on a long-term study looking at the impact of how we overwinter the cow, either on winter range with different levels of supplementation or corn residue, and how that impacts those steers' feedlot performance.
Carcass data will be collected at harvest to measure overall performance through feed intake and feed conversion. Future studies will look at May calving herds and how to manage maternal cows during the winter in addition to the future calves. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Kurtis.
Thanks, Kurtis. Join us next week as we look at another feeding system where cattle are only able to eat from specific bunks. The system allows researchers to adjust rations for each individual cow.